My name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Archery Talk 101. And I have a special guest with us today, Andrew Baker, and we're going to be talking with him about his archery journey. Uh, Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, the first thing I'm sure everybody'd like to know is how you got started in archery.
Well, like most of the people who grew up or went to school in the 90s, I started the first arrows that I ever loosed were in gym class. And that kind of got me interested in that. And my father and I kind of dabbled in it here and there and more or less kind of put them away for a bit. And back in, I think it was 2012, just on a whim, I wanted to kind of get out and do some, just have something to do outside. And I had my father's old bow hanging up on my wall for the last couple of years since I bought my house. So I just kind of grabbed that and went to the range. I belong to two different clubs that are in the general area, and both of them have archery ranges and field target courses. And just kind of grabbed those arrows and just kind of started flinging arrows without a whole lot of tremendous amount of good form. But just sort of fell in love with it afterwards. And just started looking at new bows and getting into that. And being a DIY kind of person, I started learning how to build arrows and kind of expanding upon that, and started out with a Parker single cam, and slowly made my way up until getting a full target archery setup. And at this point, I have a press. I have I don't make my own strings, but I have a press and do all my bow tuning. And I've got 4 different target bows that I rotate in and out. And then I started, working with different releases and things. Started with a wrist release after I gave up on fingers, and started on thumbs, and now I shoot hinges and a little bit of everything.
Yeah, quite a journey. I started back in the 60s with my first fiberglass recurve bow, and they didn't even have compounds when I started. That's a new invention that come up in the 70s. So I've been around since before them, and I make my own arrows, and I still use feathers. It's just one of those that old school I just never wanted to change, and I just like using feathers. And
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, there's a lot of advantages to different types of archery. The feathers are good, but when it gets rainy out, they're not so good. So it's one of those things. You just got to do what you want to do. What do you want to do? And that's always the biggest thing.
The amazing thing about archery is so much of it is so customizable, and you can create or set things up however you want it. Everybody has their own different styles, and if you ever look at professional archers, all their different forms and things are not exactly textbook. So there's a lot of customization and personalization in archery, and it's really a great thing, I think.
Yeah, each person has their own physical limitations that they're going to go through. Some is a mental limitation because they don't think they can do it. Others are, they might have a hand that doesn't work quite right, or I had one guy that had MS, and so I couldn't do the traditional style of holding the arm out with a slight bend in it because his arm shook too much. So we had to change things, and each person's different, and that's the thing. When you get into coaching, is looking at you and how you're shooting and adapt to you. And do you do very much coaching in there, or mostly work on bows?
I try to, whenever I'm at the ranges with people, if somebody wants advice on something, then I'll give it to them. But for the most part, I have a personal issue with I tend to take things for granted. Like I don't always realize that some of the people that I'm trying to give tips to don't know all the same things that I do. And that's one of the reasons why I don't try to coach my wife when she's shooting, because she recognizes that more than anybody. So we kind of just focus on having fun, and then once she kind of develops her own thing and gains confidence, then I give her a tip here and there, and try to keep it that way. But I'll usually talk about equipment more than technique and form, and I try to help. It's sometimes hard to express the feel of something. It's like trying to shoot a hinge release, like trying to instruct someone on that is can be tricky sometimes when they don't really have that. They don't know the dexterities of it just yet and stuff. So yeah, mostly just recommendations on equipment and stuff like that.
Well, and everybody needs, good advice on equipment. And I know on my archery instructor, I have an NFA archery instructor, and I keep it on my 3D rig. The patch is on there, so they can see the instructor patch, and then if they're interested, they'll come to me. I don't generally go out and say, hey, I can fix your form. Let them come to me, and I'm down there to shoot and practice. And if they want information, I'd be glad to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things that when you've been doing this as long as I have, since I've started in '95 being an instructor, and I've taught, hundreds of people how to shoot, and it's a lot of fun when you finally get somebody, all of a sudden, the kind of light bulb just clicks on and says, "Oh, that's what you've been telling me," and there's always it's always tough to get people to set equipment up correctly, and there's a lot to it, just in setting the rest. I know there's a lot of people go in and say, well, you got to shoot through paper. No, you don't.
In reality, all you really need to do is just set up. I've been outshot by a bunch of guys who just slap their rest on their bow and sight it into wherever the arrow, or sight the sight into wherever the arrow lands, and then they'll shoot better scores than I do when I've spent days trying to do bear shaft tuning or something on there to make sure the arrow's perfect and all that. And I spend more time tuning the bows than fixing my own form. We're just getting used to, making sure everything's consistent and repeatable.
And that's the biggest thing, and that's why I started the online coaching program to help people, such yourself, whatever, to get better at their archery. And you don't have to drive to coach, and some people don't have a coach within miles to get to them, and that's. We got it set up. It'll be like in a Zoom call, similar to what we're recording this on, just to get information out there. And I know there's lots of equipment out there, and I know you make a little holster for releases. Tell us about your journey in that.
Oh boy. Well, I've been doing it for about 3.5 years now, and it originally started. I've been making firearms holsters since I think 2009 or so somewhere around there. And just mostly because I'm left-handed, and it's kind of hard to find. At the time, it was kind of hard to find holsters for various firearms and left-handed. So found a couple of videos on YouTube on how to make a holster for a firearm, and eventually ended up with a full-blown workshop with all the equipment needed for that. Tried to make it part of a business, make some extra money on that, but that market is completely flooded. Like everybody and their uncle is making holsters now. So I kind of put it away for a while. And then when I picked up archery in 2012, I spent a lot of time on Archery Talk. And in the DIY section, somebody asked, is anybody able to make like a holder or a holster for a release, for a thumb release or a hinge? And so I posted something up just for a proof of concept. I did just like a pancake style thing for my one of my my only stand perfects at the time. I have a bunch of them now. And then I just posted that up as a picture, and then it just kind of went from there. Or rather, it just sat there, and everybody, a couple of people mentioned, you should sell this and whatever. And at the time, I thought to myself, nobody's gonna want that. It's not really a thing. And then like probably 6 months to a year later, I get a message on Archery Talk from a guy saying, I have this release. Can you make a belt holster for it? I said, well, I don't really have that release. It was for a Carter just because, and I don't have it. And it turns out he was willing to send it to me. So he sent it to me. I made up a little protocol. He wanted two things, made up a prototype for it, posted a picture of it, just real kind of crappy rudimentary, just a rudimentary holster for it, and did the best I could with the knowledge that I had at the time. and sent it to him. And it turns out he liked it enough to put a page. He was a mod on Target Archery Unlimited on Facebook, on one of the Facebook groups. He decided to put a video up on it and go, I'm not really advertising for this guy, but hey, look what I got. And then it just, after that, I wasn't really on Facebook much, but then he said, you better sign up for an account. And I just got flooded with requests for people asking, can you make it for this one? Can you make it for this one? And I had to tell them, I can, but you're going to have to send it to me. And after a little while of that, and I would sell them for, I don't know, $20 or whatever, just because people put trust in me to send their expensive equipment down. And after a little while and getting so many different requests, I started collecting them myself. Started off with like the knock-on series releases, Carters, so many Carters. And eventually I got it to where I started collecting them. And at this point, I'm up to something like 170 different handheld releases, and not including the different variations of them. And it turned into, this is my goal, to be able to make one for as many of them as possible, and then put up an Etsy shop. And we just built the website. And I've got customers all over the world. I just cleared, I think, 1,500 sales on Etsy, individual orders on Etsy, and then doing stuff on my website. And then that expanded into, I started making quivers too, like Kydex pocket quivers. And so apparently I found my niche, and there was definitely a market there to be had. And that's it's kind of turned into my little passion and pet project, along with a few other things to go with it.
Yeah, I know. I watched your video on them, and what do you do with?
Here's what they look like for our visual.
Yeah, just like a holster, and I have the Carter Chocolate Addiction is one I have, and what do you do with your release when you're not shooting them between them? You have a little pouch, you put them in there, but that's where you carry your binoculars if you carry the little ones. So what are you doing with it? You don't want to carry it in your hand, you don't want to put it in your pocket, and that just looks like that would solve a lot of the problems. And I even hunt with mine. I have my backup is a released. I have a Scott backup that I carry with me, but my main one is that handheld. And
would you hunt with your chocolate addiction if you had somewhere to put it, and not just hanging it off the D loop, like somewhere where it's where you could just reach for it and know it's in the right position, the exact position you need it?
I hunt with it, and I had one before it, and I ended up losing it somehow. Put it in my pocket, ended up losing it, and then had to buy the chocolate addiction. And I hunt with it because I like that it snaps onto the D loop and it just hangs there when I'm ready to go. But walking in and walking out, I don't like to leave it on there because it has a hard trigger on it. I just don't want to carry it in and out. So what do I do with it while I'm carrying it in and out? What do I do with it while I'm, if I'm cleaning a deer or something? That's the big thing there. And I put in my backpack. I have a little pouch in my backpack when I have that on. But it's just what do you do with it? And when I seen those things, like, man, that's kind of like perfect. You could probably just snap them to your safety belt and everything else too.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, I've gotten a ton of requests for people who wanted to attach it to their like binocular harnesses or something that I never even conceived that people would want to like start attaching a release to or something. So I had to kind of come up with ideas. People wanted to like put it on their strap like here so they could just grab it and pull it, or from the other side, cross draw it out and then hook it up, along with like a molly webbing and stuff like that. So I had to kind of come up with ideas for how to attach it to those, and I ended up starting to, this is a belt clip on this one, but I started making my own loops so you could actually strap it around and then just lock it down so it's right, pretty much exactly where you need it, and in the exact same position as you want it, to be able to draw it out, which is one of the taglines as far as far as using this versus a release pouch, you're going to save at least a second or two, depending on whether you're shooting ends at a target range, or if you're, if you still have it in your holster for some reason when you're out hunting, or if you're doing like spot and stalk out west. A lot of people wanted something for that where they don't want to necessarily hang their release off of a D loop, but they also didn't want to stick it in their pocket. So then, they come up on an elk or something from whatever distance. They wanted to be able to draw it out efficiently and get hooked up without having to fumble around with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when you were saying that. It's like if you're out, even walking to your stand, it's not too bad. Go ahead and hook your arrow up so it's already on, because you can kind of hold it while you're walking out there. But how do you get your release? You're going to carry. I don't like to carry it in my hand because there's just too many things going on. So to have it readily available, like on your harness or your jacket or something, so you can just grab it and hook it up. That would definitely, be a good thing to have.
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of hunters. It seems like different seasons. The season and what's going on in archery seems to determine the releases that I make holsters for, along with the colors I end up using. Like indoor archery season, I end up doing a lot of like brighter colors, but then all year it's a lot of OD greens and flat dark earths and coyote browns, and I don't do a lot of camo because I don't want to have to stock all of the camos or as many of them. But yeah, the hunting season, definitely there's a lot more earth tones in there. But yeah, hunters seem to like it for that repeatability, and then target archers, you could save yourself a second or two on your end by not having to stick your hand in your release pouch and get it into position and just draw it straight out.
Hello. Yeah, that's that phone call comes in. I get it before it starts ringing.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if somebody's interested in getting one of those from you, how would they get a hold of you?
There's a couple different places. My main website is artandarchery.com. That's my main my main website. That's where I'm trying to transfer most of my stuff, and because it has a better interface in terms of options and stuff. Most of my sales I get on Etsy, but anybody who's looking to get in touch with me, if you just Google archery holster, I'm pretty much the first thing that comes up. Like that's the easiest way to find me. I'm also on Facebook. I don't have like a company thing just yet, but it's AJB Holsters on YouTube and Instagram, and also, like I said, just look up release holster. Oddly enough, if you look up different manufacturers, sometimes my shop comes up as the first top 10 search results, which is kind of, I never thought I'd see that. Like if you look up Stanislavski, I'm like in the top 10 search results, along with images and stuff. Like the pictures of my holsters come up when you look up a specific manufacturer. So I got a bit of a presence, but yeah, there's a few different ways to get in touch with me, but that's probably the easiest one.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's going to be a few out there that want to have one. Made one. Yeah, yeah. I know that's definitely something to be worth considering getting into, and getting one of those holsters. I think it would be a real good addition to anybody that uses a handheld release. Mm-hmm. Now, those using the strap-on ones, it's already there. It just hangs around. You don't have to worry about losing it. It's just kind of in the way sometimes, but that's those of us that use the handheld releases, always finding a place to put it is the challenge of the day.
It's also another way to accessorize yourself and match up stuff to your bow and your various other accessories, or the release itself. Like some of them come in different colors, like the Stan Onyx comes in sage green, brass, and echo gray. So when that came out, I've been selling a lot of gray to go around with the Onyx, and also this color. This is laser engraved with the American flag, but it's also called infantry green. So yeah, a lot of people trying to either match it up to the release or match it up to their bow. So boys with toys, we love to accessorize.
Yeah. So what kind of how many different colors do you have available?
I think I have 21 different options, I think. Just about everything, all the way up to hot pink. hot pink, zombie green, safety yellow, and then I have red, blue, black, flat dark earth, coyote brown, OD green, infantry green, zombie green, and then I have other ones that are, of course, I didn't grab one to show it. Oh, yes, I did. It's like a carbon fiber print, which I don't know if it shows up on my crappy webcam. This is a zombie green holster, but it's got a carbon fiber type print, and it's for my B3 coupe hinge. So, but yeah, mostly I mostly do solid colors and carbon fibers, just for the sake of not having to have that many, or like I said, not going into the camos and stuff for now.
Yeah, that the solid colors that, most people, it sounds like you're going to have a color that they're going to like, whatever they want to accessorize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's a couple choice releases, and I have pictures up of all the different holsters, and I'm trying to make sure that every color is represented in at least one. In some cases, I could do a slideshow, like I'd have to say probably the most popular release that I've made more of than anything else is the Carter Wise Choice 3-finger. And I think I've done that in just about every color, all the way down to, like I said, hot pink, zombie green, safety yellow, orange. Oh yeah, that was another one, orange. And yeah, there isn't a color I haven't done yet for that one, or the knock on knock to it, as well as the perfects and stuff like that. But yeah, there's something for everybody, ultimately. So
for a new archer, what would you recommend a new archer do first? Somebody that doesn't have a bow, that's looking to get a bow.
Probably determine first what exactly it is that they're planning on doing with it. Are they going to shoot target? Are they going to hunt with it? Are they going to shoot 3D? Or do a little bit of everything with it? And that's going to kind of determine the style of bow that they're planning on going with. I'm a compound archer, so recurves and long bows are a subject that I don't know that much about. But yeah, just kind of deciding what kind of style it is that they're planning on shooting. Maybe go out to a range and that has equipment like our local range has. We have a Friday night archery shoot indoors, where they have a bunch of Genesis bows, and they're available for people who have never shot before, along with somebody who comes out and kind of coaches them along, and gives them an opportunity to see what it feels like to start loosing arrows, and see if they want to go further with it. So you got to just determine what angle they're planning on going, and then determine what kind of equipment, how much do they want to spend. That's another thing. If it's something they're really gung-ho about, what fits within their budget. And just kind of get them to afford them the opportunity, or give them the resources to learn how far they want to go with it. Because you can spend thousands, you can spend a couple $100, you could spend less than 100 if you're savvy, or know the right used market. But yeah, just kind of point them in the right direction, give them some different options, and then kind of get them to a shop so they can test fire a few things and figure out if it's something they really want to do.
Yeah, that's always good advice. That check it out and see. When I had my store, that's kind of the first thing you want to ask is what do you want to do with it? Did you just watch Hunger Games and now you're interested in recurs because you watched the Hunger Games or something? Back when that was going, we had a lot of people come in and say, "Hey, I want to shoot a bow." And then
Lord of the Rings before that as well.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them now. So that's the most important thing. If you're interested in it, go check it out. It's one of those sports that you can learn as a kid. 5 years old, and when you're 85, you can still shoot. There's one guy in the group that's been shooting for, I think he said 70 years. Been shooting a bow. So
good for him.
Yeah, there's that. Get in some of the groups and find out. The Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. That's where we focus on a lot of new archers, new information for them. How do you get started? You're struggling with one thing or something else. That's what we do in the group. There's no bad question. nobody's going to make fun of you for posting a question. It's a question. If you don't know the answer, like I've always said, the only dumb question is the one you haven't asked yet, because once you ask it, it's not dumb because you didn't know. So ask it and find out. And then of course we have this podcast, which I'm putting out information for new archers, experienced archers, interviewing people like you that have been in a while, and you get kind of your journey on there. And then I also have the archerytalk101.com website, which I have a lot of posts out there. And, like when we review items, I'll put links out there to go purchase the items. So it makes it easier for you to find stuff. And then of course we got the archery coaching program, which is an online coaching archery coaching program. Get my words out here. And I'll put links to those in the description down below. And one thing I've started doing is offering anybody that's interested a free 15-minute consultation call where we get on for about 15 minutes and see, is coaching for you? How can coaching help you? And go from there. And I'll leave link for that in there below. So
there you
I'd
go.
I definitely want to thank you, Andrew, for being on the podcast. It's been real good, real informative, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun talking archery in the future, and we'll just go from there. And once again, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Archery Talk 101.